Thanks.
Plan A is we're going to do this via Kahoots. Right? Now, if Kahoot works,
Yeah, if you have spare pen.
then we'll be able to target and zero in on the videos that we need to watch more carefully. If it doesn't work, this is plan B. We go back to old school. Plan C, for those of you, is you can leave right now. Sorry. All right. Thank you. So, like with every session, the aim of this session, basically it has to do with foul identification. We want to enhance your knowledge in this area. And again, I like the fact that previous presenters have been talking about considerations. So, on this handout, on the left-hand side, you've got 7 basic considerations of foul identification. The truth is, there are about 30 on the list. All I did was I summarised what I think are the easiest ones for us to use as officials in games, and these are the sorts of things that we can, over time, memorise, remember and use when we look at fouls. So, the referee guidelines, I know that Joanne pointed to the referee guidelines, and when Luke walked out the door, she was hoping that we can get them placed on the website. Every year we do try and get them up on the website because I think that they are a really useful tool. I have a digital copy of these, and my aim is the more that we get this out to us as a group, the better it is for our refereeing. So I wholeheartedly agree with Joanne's sentiment. Let's get them out to referees. This sort of information, this sort of knowledge, primarily these guidelines, should be shared. And as you can see from that list, you probably may be able to make out, but there are 30 just in the area of fouls and misconduct, and then looking at the definitions of careless, reckless and using excessive force and violent conduct. So they actually help a great deal in understanding what is a foul and what is not a foul. And I'll have a chat to Luke today and we'll see if we can get them up on the website or get them out to our members. So, let me talk a little bit about the notion of football understanding and football expectation. And I want to use some of the work that's been done in the handball space. So IFAB and FIFA have been really careful here over the last few years to go back to what would football expect. So to give you an example of handball, and handball is primarily divided into 3 basic areas. The first one is, this is definitely a handball. Why? Because football expects that you should not score a goal with your hand. That's the expectation. The one in the middle is these should be handball. Hand or arm that makes the body unnaturally bigger. So that's what should be, and then these should not be. So you've got definite, should be, should not. So it's primarily 3 basic concepts, right? And the philosophy is built around football expectation, all right? Because I want to talk about the next slide. What does football expect from us when you see a foul? Or what is the football expectation? Now when you think about this, what is the football expectation? Think about players, coaches, clubs, supporters, the media. What does football expect? Now, this is not an out of jail card for the assessor. When the assessor comes in and says, why didn't you pay that penalty? Well, the football expectation was that it wasn't a foul. You can try that with me, because I'm always up for a bit of a discussion around foul identification. But you've got to think about what does the game expect from referees. And then you've got this side. Laws of the game, other referees, for consistency's sake, match day coaches, aka people like me, assessors, right? The referees department, and also Football Victoria. Because consistency is the key. So if you go back to these 7 basic considerations, they will help you understand what is the football expectation. Because the truth is, you know a foul when you see one. So don't overcomplicate things. And so the way I see football is pay what you see. Pay what you see. Don't overcomplicate it. All right. So I did say I need some audience participation, so we're going to go into that space where I'm going to try something different. All right? And in trying something different, this is the first time we're trying it with an audience of 350 people. I know that some branches use the technology, so please suspend your judgment around, don't be too negative, try something. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to plan B and we'll just move on. But I think, let's give it a go. But you can't sit on the fence, this is the best part about things, you have to make a decision. Alright, so on the sheet, when I talk about football, so the considerations, so football understanding, so what's the expectation? I'll put that in there because I want you to start thinking about this. Clubs will say, it's a free kick, why didn't he pay it? It was a free kick, why didn't she give it? It was a penalty, why? So think about the expectation of what people expect for a free kick. So speed and intensity are really good to understand. I talked about this last year. So when you think about high speed, high intensity, and then you have an incident, the way that you respond to that incident should be a bit more serious. Low speed, medium speed, high speed. We talk about this. We talked about this last year, but for those who are new in the room, you will see some of these clips today and there will be some low speed. Please, think about it. If it's low or medium speed, low, free kick, medium, yellow card, high speed, high intensity, possibly red. It's a simple way of looking at what happens in the game. So the next one is the element of intent or malice. Was it dangerous, or was there a risk of injury? And if you know your definitions around careless, reckless and using excessive force, right, then you'll see, when you go up to using excessive force, right, that's when you've got to think about the definition. Right? Endangering the safety of an opponent. Endangering the safety of an opponent. That's using excessive force. Right, so just, you've got to give that some thought. So chances of playing the ball, was it fair or unfair contact? And so you'll start to hear this term football contact. That's coming from, FIFA, from AFC. What is football contact, Again, football expectation. Our game is a game that has contact in it. And fair contact, you're allowed to bump with the shoulder. You're allowed to go for the ball in a fair way. Again, look at the direction of the feet and use of the studs. Right? Were they from the front, from behind, from the side? Which part of the body made contact? And so remember, this is where you start mixing these things. High speed, high intensity. From the side, from behind, use of the feet. And the last one, endangering the safety of an opponent. When you endanger the safety of the opponent, you know that that's a red card. And you need to make that judgment call when you see it. All right? In a moment, you understand this. You've done these quizzes before in the past, and so you're going to be given a number of choices. If I could just move to the next screen. All right. So audience participation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to come out of this for the moment. All right, so for those who are new to Kahoot, in a moment you're going to get a number, right? And that number needs to be placed. Now, a couple of things, and I need to say this: no inappropriate names. And you know what I'm saying about that. No, seriously, think about where we are. Think about the audience. No inappropriate names. Number one. I would prefer that you use your name, not somebody else's name. Like in previous Kahoot, what I've seen is many names such as Jimbo go up. Many people know me as Jimbo, and like there's 6 of them up there, and only one gets them all correct. No, seriously. Right? So use your own name. And that's just basic rules. Alright, so here we go. Ready to join?
Yes.
So please place that number in, and in a moment, you can see how many people are coming in. 80, 100.
Do you see your nickname? You know what I mean? 160. No, it's not. After 6.
Come on, hurry up.
This will tell us how many people are in the room.
Yeah, the styles are wild.
Tira pouco shit.
Okay, now for some interactivity. Let's see how we go. Right, let's start it. And in a moment you'll see the clip on the 2 screens behind me, and you'll see the options. For those who are new, please be careful. Right, I have written what the answer is on the screen, but on your device all you'll get is the colour. Right, and you just press the colour. Right, it won't actually say the answer on here. It'll be up on the screen. Right. For those who have used Kahoot know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's start. Ready? Sorry, that's
2 answers. You can't see it. Okay, now can we see the options?
You've got a chance to see it? There's your options.
Yeah, Mark can help you do it as well.
Just for the record, thank you. Like I said, I'm trying to do this in an interactive way. That is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. So it is a correct free kick, and it is a yellow card. So you've got, within this group, just on about 50 people. Right? Now, I know that we can go in at the back end because we've got the premium version of Kahoot. And that's the only way you can get above 100 by the premium. So we can actually go in and find out who is incorrect. But that's not the aim of this activity. The aim of this activity is to get some alignment as to why that would be seen as a yellow card. So let's go into so I want you to see the point of contact. Alright, some advice here. Speed is medium, impact, medium may be high. But what I want you to start thinking about, if any contact is made on the foot, the advice is yellow card. Okay? That's the advice. The truth is,
The majority was in the lake.
we've got about 80% of the room who agreed that that was a yellow card and a free kick. That's a pretty good result. It'd be great to get a higher alignment. But the good thing about this is I'm hoping that when you see an incident such as this, and watch the reverse angle, and this is the bit as the foot comes down, the contact is made on the foot, not on the ankle. And that's the key. Just out of curiosity, if it was made on the ankle, higher above the foot, what do you think the answer might be? Red.
Under
Correct. Hold on, write down your question.
Manoli.
Come back to it later.
Manoli.
All right, so as you can see, I'm
What
clicking
you
on
play on?
screens
That's
next.
it. What you play on?
Next.
Semana prima volta
Where's the contact?
yellow.
Oh, I didn't yellow. Bias, please.
Where's the initial contact? Or is it
Yeah, one more.
Isso é batata.
It could be a quick error, but it's probably. I think it's most likely. I'm in 99th place, tied with that.
Τι πάτησες, blue ρε Μανώλη, blue πάτησες.
Let's have a look at this. We're going to this one here, which is our next. Alright, let's just watch it through. Because we've got about 60 or 70 people.
You got the maximum amount of places. You got the maximum amount of places.
Alright, here's a clue. Do not watch things in slow motion. No, don't make a decision in slow motion. Because slow motion in this case is deceiving. So can we go back now, on your handout, you've got a number of elements, right? Speed and intensity,
Speed was high.
right? Put your hand up if you thought this was low speed. Put your hand up if you thought this was medium speed. All right, so now we're starting to get up. Who said high speed? Okay, so now speed's 1, so you can have medium to high. So now let's look at intensity, degree of impact or force. Okay, low, put your hand up if you thought it was low. medium. Right, and now high. Some people thought it was high. Right? But on this, so now let's talk about where the force is coming in from. So it's coming in from the front, right? And the expectation here, is contact made with the foot? No, contact is actually made with the knee. Right? If it was made with the foot, then yes, many of you might have thought red card. I might have thought, okay, high speed, medium to high speed, medium to high impact, contact with the foot. But this one, so what did the football expectation? Think about what the football would expect. Most people said, well, majority said yellow card. And that's what we'd expect, something like this. True, but would football expect you to take a player out? So so are you saying if he gets the ball first and then takes the player out?
That's fine.
So the question down here was, what if contact was made with the ball first? So that can make a difference. The only thing I will say around this is, think about the impact or the force of the attacker, the defender taking out the attacker. So in this case, it's because of the impact, the intensity of the lunge at the ball. They all do. They all say that. It's true. They all say I've got the ball. But I think I've got a clip in here which does actually make contact with the ball first. So there'll be one in there. It does. Right. So next.
Young is getting third touch.
Side to side. Penalty, keep walking. Keep walking.
Why would somebody give a free kick for that? Because if you get a free kick, it's a penalty, isn't it? So, how long?
Hey, my name's John from the Geelong branch, 7 years of refereeing. I think the guy that was coming in to challenge for the ball didn't make any attempt on the ball. It was off the ball.
Για να παίρνουμε το χρόνο.
Do you have a support or counter?
Πάτησε το κόκκινο κατά λάθος. Γιατί νόμιζε ότι ήταν το no flick not card. Είσαι σίγουρη ότι σωστά έγινε ρε?
Ναι ρε, τα ίδια είναι.
I think the ball's within playing distance and it's a fair bump on the ball, and that would be my counter. And as you said, it's a penalty, it's going to be a game changer.
What's the football expectation about our game?
Shoulder to shoulder spine.
Our game is a game which has contact in it. You need to understand that clip is a good example of a shoulder charge which is at the ball and is seen as a fair bump. That is a good example of football contact. that we should allow. Right, and as you can see the results, the kind of interesting thing is I'm hoping that the other results, the 4 people who would give a red card and the 13 who would give a yellow card, please start thinking about some alignment. I know you might be, as they would say in the proverbial, taking the piss. I'm hoping you wouldn't give that as a yellow or a red card. However, when they did this in AFC, some people did do exactly that. Think about giving that as a free kick, but it's a game-changing decision for what they call football contact. All right? Nice loud voice up the back.
Hello. As far as I saw, his knee kind of came in contact with the back of the other guy's knee. I figured contact with my knee.
So you would give a penalty for that. So I'm hoping now, after discussing this decision, I'm hoping that you would allow play to continue, right? Because when I'll flip into it. So watch the contact.
Αν ήταν στο Αγγλικά θα του λέγε πήγαινε λίγο έξω και ξαναλαβαίνω.
Watch the contact carefully. What is the defender trying to do? Ball's within playing distance. That defender has every right to challenge that attacker for the ball. And that is a classic example of a shoulder bump at the ball. Please, think about this, right? We want our game to be competitive. These sorts of challenges, we should not be penalising because we want defenders to be able to simply do that, defend their goals. Right? I get why people would give a penalty, hence the reason why it's in these series of clips, but we want you to start thinking about what would football expect. Seriously, think about the people on the sideline. Most people, non-partisan, in other words, not one team or the other, most people looking at the game would say, play on, that's a fair bump. Because if you penalise that, pretty much you have to penalise every bit of contact. My advice is simple when it comes to free kicks. Whatever you pay in the middle of the park, you should pay in the penalty, but I flip it the other way. Whatever you pay in the penalty area, you should pay in the middle of the park. So my analysis is this, right? I use the penalty area as the free kick standard. Think about that. Whatever you pay in the penalty area, you pay everywhere else. Because what we often see, and here's the coaching that assessors often see, right, is they'll give the small nudge in the middle of the park, especially at a goal kick, right? At a goal kick, referee takes up a position near the centre circle, goalkeeper kicks it out. Non-curriculum standard football, by the way, right? Lower league football. And what will happen is 2 players will go up for the ball and 1 player will nudge somebody in the back, free kick. But if they did the same thing in the penalty area, no way, he's got to earn that penalty, he's got to be 100%. I'm sorry, the simple standard is easy. Whatever you pay in the penalty area, that's it. That's the standard you pay across the park. Because if you think about it, if you paid this in the penalty area, you've got to pay it everywhere else, and I bet you wouldn't pay it consistently everywhere else. So there's the standard. Right, that's football contact.
Quick one on that there, at junior level, you get a top there playing where you might be 6 foot, 14-year-old, 40 kilo, 70 kilo, knocks you out, everyone's cheering on the side. It's a hard sell in that instance to say play on and the kids on the ground crying 14-year-old categories.
So fair enough. So can I give you this? So why should we penalise the defender for doing the right thing? No, I get where you're coming from and I empathise with that situation. I totally get where you're coming from. But in the end, That's fair football contact.
I agree. The only thing is, it's those 14-year-old mums and dads that really think these young kids.
So let's educate them. We're not going to discriminate. Let's move on. Next.
Elbow, then yeah, stick down. That's fine.
This one we're going to have a long discussion.
Going back.
As you can see, it's not very fair, not
Purely on the fact that she got her that high on the leg, she kicked her.
Alright, kick her on the knee. Alright. Anybody else on the red?
I don't think so. It was very little.
So the answer was the rounding 10. Any yellow cards?
I'm Alistair, I'm in Central Branch, roughing 3 or 4 years. I'm taking it as a yellow card because there was pretty low force in there, much less than the red. There was no studs.
So now starting to use the considerations. Did you hear the answer? I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but he's using the consideration to justify a response. Because what happens when you see a free kick is you don't blow a free kick and then use the consideration, you go the other way around. What identifies a foul? It's the consideration. Is it high speed, low speed, impact of force? That's what you're seeing in here, and then you pull the trigger with the whistle. You understand the reasoning? That's why we use considerations. Thanks, Alistair. Anybody else with the yellow? Mate, I'm not going to throw it up there. So I'm going to try and make it easier for myself.
Vincent Central. It does. I think I can sympathise both ways.
Both ways.
Not offensive. I can sympathise because there is an aspect of air swing. However, yellow because contact is ultimately made with the instep.
All right. So the answer is, and I can tell you it's going to create some controversy in this room, it's a yellow card. All right, let me explain why. By the way, thank you to all those people who are actually...
Ρε παιδιά, κοκκίνησε το τραπέζι, κοκκίνησαν όλα, ρε. Τι να αυτή, ρε. Ο Μανώλης πάτησε κόκκινο, πάτησαν όλοι.
So, now I want you to start thinking about what is this player doing? Right, so let's look at it. Let's look at what the defender is trying to do with the attacker. Right? So let's have a look. Have a look at the reverse angle. Look at the timing. Watch your timing.
It was pretty close after the ball was from the kick. She was
She missed time the ball.
Yeah.
So, what I want you to start thinking about, if you gave a red card, it's supportable. So did you hear what I'm saying? When you think about the difference between a yellow card and a red card, what has been the advice that we've given you for many years when there's doubt? What should you do when there's doubt between a yellow card and a red card? We go down. Right? Why? Because we give the benefit of the doubt to the player. Why? Football expectation. We want to keep players on the path. So if it's not claro red, clearly red, then we go down. Because in this case, she mistimes the kick. Right? And it comes just at the point where she's just about to kick the ball, and then what happens? It gets knocked in front and she collects the player. So, the truth is, right, this is a good clip because there is medium to high speed, medium to high force, and if you use the considerations, you could sell both. But there's doubt around clearly red. So whenever you see something clearly red, you can sell it. But when it's between the two, and did you see the split? It was almost 50-50. They're good examples to go down because what we want to do is keep players on the path. There was no malice, intent, there was no issue. Player gets up, apologises, shakes hands, moves away. Right? So start reading what's going on in the game. Now, I'm at the point where I have to finish. It's kind of interesting, we only got 4 out of 10 clips, but all I want to say is I will make this presentation available to the branches, right, with the answers, so that they can use it in their training. And I'll also make the answers available, right, so you can actually do the training, understand the considerations. The other thing I want to say is, thank you very much for being an awesome audience and using the technology so that we could have a discussion around the clips. So thank you from me, and I'll hand that
Fantastic, guys, and thanks for your interaction in that presentation. Just give us a couple of moments, we're just going to get the next presentation. I'm going to talk about some fair play initiatives for 2020.